very high power for the first couple of cycles and throw it in a low power location at the end. So I think this is all sort of looked at in one of the new regs about power histories, and there was a conclusion there about the power history effects were around 002 delta K. That's what this is, I think. It's an attempt to actually simulate it, where we burn this assembly at the bounding fuel temperatures and high fuel temperature, bounding low moderator density and high moderator temperature. And then in the last 40 days, we chop off 20 days of the normal depletion, turn it into 40 days of low power, half power depletion. And that half power depletion has the effect primarily of reducing your samarium-149 concentration. I mean, there's some other isotopic effects too that are more minor, but the big one is it reduces the amount of samarium-149 peaking after you take that assembly out of the core. And so you wind up with a higher reactivity assembly if you depleted it at the end in a lower power.
Yeah, okay.
Again, just to make sure, samarium and promethium equilibrate. They equilibrate in the time frame. The reason he picked 40 days was that's around the equilibration time frame. And the promethium is proportional to power. Promethium decays to samarium. The samarium, by the way, is power independent, samarium-149. So the lower power means there is less promethium, it's proportional to power, which decays to samarium-149. So again, it's more conservative to do this low power at the end. Most of the other depletion effects are integrated over burnup as opposed to something associated with equilibrating nuclides. And so this is the appropriate way of handling this. And Mark DeHart's work, the original work on this, did not go into this, did not observe they didn't even, I was involved with that, and at the time we were not thinking, we had that 0.2% that was just talked about, but we didn't really know what it was due to. Now we do know what it was due to. It was due to samarium.
Okay, so you're going to do this for each burn-up level on the loading curve?
Yes. We're taking it as a bias.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, the 0.2% is usually taken as a bias.
Well, right. So there's going to be a term that includes what I was. I'm lumping in the fuel changes with depletion effects along with this 40-day at end of cycle thing, and it comes up the total of the three, which is creep, grid growth, and specific power effects. They're all three give you a higher K, but if we can conserve computer time by putting them all in the same depletion to calculate one bias, and we calculate one bias that's in the vicinity of 0.5% in K, 0.5, 0.6. The sum total of all three of those effects.
Okay, yeah, like I said before, you're going to need we've accepted in the past for this specific power history issue was people just taking the 0.2% as a bias and being done with it. And isn't that what you did for Millstone? Is that what you did for Millstone?
I do not recall what. We didn't take this combined approach at Millstone.
No, we didn't. Yeah, it certainly wasn't. The grid growth isn't in Millstone.
Right. Well, I guess I could ask a question. I know you're not telling me how to do the analysis, but what would be clearer, what would be simpler, since we're taking it as a bias term, I can split the bias out. I can not deplete with the 50%. If this is, adding another layer of uncertainty to where there previously was certainty, I don't really want to do that. I think we're doing the same thing, the 2/10, and then doing the 40 days. But if I'm just muddying the waters by doing that, I'd rather just back it out and say I will handle the creep and grid growth the way we've already discussed, and just leave this out and add a 0.2% line item bias from the new reg.
Well, I mean, the new regs aren't the answer to everything. They're kind of, like Dale said, that, or and the ISD says, I'm not sure that points to this, but it probably does for this new reg. They didn't necessarily consider everything. The question I was, do you really, how big do you think this is going to be, Bob?
The samarium effect is in the vicinity of 0.25%, 250 ppm.
Okay.
So it's 40% maybe of the total changes with depletion sort of effect when you add the three together.
So I mean, you're saying it's 250 ppm. That's depleting at 50% power for the last 40 days.
Yes. Now realize I didn't change the fuel temperature and I didn't change the moderator density, so there's a small benefit that I've given away there. Just to keep things simple.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to get like the Kentucky windage of what these idea of what the numbers are.
Yeah, it's 2/10 maybe 0.25.
Yeah. And by the way, again, to use precedents or other precedents, Indian Point in this particular case did not take the 0.2, but just took the promethium number densities and divided them by half.
And you get to about...
Amherst doing that review, so I can't say.
Okay. Well, that's done.
Yeah, I know, but it's like,
Yeah.
Amherst did that.
Sorry about that.
Well, it's just two different ways to try to attack the same issue.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, to me, I don't want to tell you how to do it, but it seems to be adding an extra degree of an extra layer of difficulty that's I'm not sure is necessary. If you think it's necessary, then do it. But if you don't, then
This is Eric Osterly from the staff. I just want to do a quick time check here. This public teleconference is scheduled to go till 11 o'clock, and I know there's an agenda item at the end for public comment. So I just want you to make aware of the time and the number of pages that we have left to go on the checklist.
All right, Ken, we'll discuss, approaches to that specific power item. My conclusion is we're doing the same thing in different ways. Whether you come up with the 2/10 from the new reg or the Indian Point method or this method, they're all coming up about the same. I think we could probably just throw a case in to demonstrate this item by itself gives you about that same number, to give you some confidence that there's nothing unique or different in what we're doing here.
okay. And then, that was a lot of discussion, but I'm looking at a couple other questions. Is that, all right, so I'm looking at here. I guess I've jumped to page 6.
Okay.
Checklist. And I guess the discussion we just had maybe informed some of my thoughts here. Is that I have this idea under your bias, you have low power at EOL.
Right, that's the one we just talked about.
Right. And so now the question I had here was like mid-cycle shutdown. And so now I have a better understanding of what you were talking about here.
Okay.
The next comment I have is on page 7.
Okay,
And it's the seismic event.
all right.
Now, considering that the earthquake that you guys did have, and then the question about whether or not, what needs to be done in this analysis for seismic events. And I don't have a formulated position at this. I'm just wondering, I'm just opening this up for discussion. I think we need to have some discussion on this aspect.
Okay, the seismic event we did have, the inspections that were done after the event didn't detect any movement of the racks. That is point number one. Point number two is we're not crediting any spacing between the racks. All the analyses are done infinite lattice. And one of the reasons why we have a requirement, that is one of the reasons why we have a requirement that Region 1's regions, blocks, have to be fully contained within a rack. So that if any rack shifts relative to another rack, it doesn't affect the boundary condition at all.
Okay. So, I can't say at this time, Bob, whether how that review is going to go down at this moment, other than to say is a robust description of your rationale would be appreciated.
Okay. We can do that.
This plant is less sensitive to seismic events than other plants, so that's good for this one, not so good for others. And the reason is we're not crediting any absorber poisons. Some designs that other plants have missing absorber poisons on the outside of a module, and bringing the racks closer together may be important for them. We have all the same modules in our case and no poison, so we're pretty insensitive to seismic events here.
Well, the question that I have is during of course, the seismic, the idea is you move the racks and change your moderator fuel ratio.
Yeah.
And the question is so part of this discussion should include whether your racks in general, your racks, modules are over or under moderated as well.
Okay, good point.
Right. So I understand what your concern is. I mean, we could demonstrate, that if we introduce some water between the racks, that K will go down, and that would cover the over moderation, under moderation question.
Well, you might be able to make this argument based on your temperature analysis.
Right. Higher temperature is higher reactivity. So that would say we're over moderated, and if you add more, it's going to go down, which is what we would expect. That's what we saw in Millstone when we spaced the racks out more.
I don't know what your numbers you've got there. I'm just saying, including the discussion of whether your fuel assemblies are typically by themselves individually or under moderated, but your rack in itself may be over moderated.
Right, particularly this flux trap design. Got a lot of space between cells.
Yeah, it's got a lot more than, certainly than, I should say everybody. It sounds like you have it like an all Region 1 rack.
Yes, correct.
From when people were putting in the Region 1, Region 2s back in the 70s. It's similar to that kind of design.
Okay. Dan, this is V. You have 5 minutes. Is there any final discussions? Go ahead. In 5 minutes, I'm going to include the opportunity for the public.
Okay. Any other questions?
Ken, do you have any other items?
Yeah, no, Bob. That covered all the items that I wanted to talk about.
Okay. Well, that just puts us back to the timeline. then we'll take back the items that we discussed as discussion points and minor changes to what the checklist looks like, and then and we'll go from there.
Yeah. Okay, V.
So just to recap, one of the things that you heard from the Doral branch chief was to consider a less than a 2-year review, which could be achieved by looking at delaying your submittal date. Take advantage of perhaps some, he didn't say this, but I'm saying it now, to take advantage of perhaps of some convergence and alignment between the staff and industry on the guidance in 1216 going forward, which will be beneficial for this review as well.
Okay. Making it more plan specific.
We could talk about that. We'll think about that.
Okay. If you don't have any questions, I would like to ask anybody online from the public side.
Yes, hi V. This is Erica Gray in Richmond, Virginia.
Hi, Ms. Gray. You have an opportunity to give your comments for the staff.
I'd like to start off with, I didn't receive the PowerPoint. Can you please send that to me, V?
It is on the website. I posted that one about 2 weeks ago. If you go back, both are there. Website, you have the checklist and the PowerPoint.
Okay, well then I'll go back there and look. I thought you were going to send that to me.
No, it's already there. It's already there for the last 2 weeks.
Okay, well I just didn't notice it there. Well, I do have some questions. I guess I heard the number 5% uranium weight mentioned. What gigawatt days per metric ton uranium fuel burn up are we talking about?
Well, this is the this is kind of one from the NRC staff, and there is no specific burn up associated with that weight. It would depend on what their analysis showed was acceptable for storage.
Well, I mean, I know that the average burn up of 35 GWD MTUs was the average 2 decades ago, and then I know that it seems like it's kind of been inching up. So I was just wondering, I don't understand what the 5% uranium weight is related to.
That's the maximum amount of uranium by weight percent of uranium-235 they're allowed to have in their fuel. That's in the regulation 10 CFR 5068.
Okay, but what number is that? What gigawatt days per metric ton uranium are we talking about? What burn up?
That doesn't correlate to a specific burn up. It depends on how they use it.
Oh, so in other words, it depends on how long they leave it in the reactor?
It depends on what their rated power is and how they use it. Some of those fuel assemblies might have 60 gigawatt days worth of burn up. Some of them might only have 40.
Okay, and so our maximum that we're using right now is what, 62?
I'm not sure off the top of my head what their maximum license burn up is at North Anna.
Okay. Well, I guess maybe V, I can check back with you and get that answer.
The 62 is consistent with the Reg Guide 1.183 guidelines for alternate source term. But like Ken said, we'd have to check on the specifics with the North Anna license.
Okay. And so basically this discussion for this amendment is basically talking about possibly increasing the uranium in enrichment, or?
This license amendment would allow them to, currently they're limited to having an enrichment of 4.6%. This license amendment will allow them to have a maximum enrichment of 5.0%. So it would increase the amount of uranium-235 that they're allowed to have, yes.
So does that mean we're also going to go to a new fuel assembly?
No, the fuel assemblies that they have would be capable of handling this material. Other reactor licensees already are licensed to have up to that much enrichment.
Okay. And as it goes for the, regarding the storage geometry of the spent fuel pool, this is needed because of what? The pool is already full, and they need to be able to, like, add another rack in there or something?
No, the license amendment now is they have a certain storage limitations that they've, were established, a while back based on their maximum fuel enrichment, based on the way they were operating their reactors. And now that they're changing their maximum fuel enrichment, we need to relook at this criticality analysis and perhaps either validate the old storage requirements or implement new. And it sounds like they've come pre-concluded that they need to have, or if they don't need to have, but they desired new storage requirements.
Okay, so is this also kind of looking at the future removal of the spent fuel that's already there?
Not particularly, no.
So just basically talking about adding more, but with new racks and new higher enrichment.
No, they would use the current racks that they have. And, you know, like whether or not they need to, the fuel assemblies that would be moved out is they need to, it's my understanding that they do have a dry storage facility that they can move fuel into that facility in accordance with that license, based on their needs for storage in the pool.
Okay, so they're not asking to store more fuel, they're just asking to store a higher enriched fuel.
That's what it looks like at this point, ma'am, yes.
Okay, and what was the burn up for the pool originally designed for? What burn up? Do we have a number on that?
I don't have a number on that. I don't know what it was limited for. It's I don't know what their current tech specs allow them. They have current restrictions that are in their current license.
Okay. Well, I did want to mention, too, that, you know, we did have a 2.0 last Thursday, so I'm glad that you guys are going to be looking at seismic events. United States Geological Survey said we could actually expect more, so I anticipate that we will have more earthquakes and hopefully not larger than our 2011 5.8. But I did want to mention that in 2014 on refueling, Dominion did discover 2 broken fuel assemblies with missing pellets. So I'm hoping that, you know, somehow when y'all do your analysis and maybe look at, was it just baffling or, you know, was there other things that were taking place at the same time? And not only that, but the baffle jetting thing kind of bothers me because I've read back and seen that that's been a problem throughout many years with this with the industry. So I hope y'all are taking a good look at you know, not only just what will go in the pool, but if we're going to do higher burn up than what we're already using. You know, obviously it seems like it'll also take place in the reactor as well, and how that might affect that.
Okay, Ms. Gray, is there, one second, is there any other public on the line? I heard before David Martin. Okay, Chris?
I have no comments at this point.
Okay. Thank you so much. You know, if you don't have any comments, please visit our website. So usually, you know, there is a form 659 by giving public meeting schedule, and you can fill the feedback. And the summary will be completed, and it will be in Adams for public review. Thank you so much. Now the time is 11 o'clock. We are going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, V. Everyone.
Thank you.